Hi everyone, welcome to Living La Vita Loca podcast. My name is Faz.
And I'm Rick.
And we're eating pretzels. And I just remarked that I don't think they're very good for podcasting with. They're quite claggy.
Yeah, it'll be alright. We'll be fine.
He says putting
we're fine.
and cashing back in. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was alright. Came and went. Yeah, good, yeah.
Went to see Tony Hawk cover band on Friday.
On Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
The 900.
Nice.
The UK's only Tony Hawk cover band.
You don't say.
Who knew? They were really good.
Nice.
They were excellent. Like, as in, so when me and Birdie, previously of this podcast, rocked up, there was a band on called Elastic Waste, and they were the warm-up act, and they were really good. And I'm now going to listen to their music on Spotify. And I was like, oh, I feel like this might be one of the situations where the warm-up band are better than the actual band, because the actual band are playing other people's musics. Several musics. And fear not, that was not the case. They were riotous fun. It was insane, like, as in getting like mosh pits going and, you know, circles and everything, and like they sang so many different bands' music and played so many different bands' musics. I'm gonna make that a thing. And they were fucking brilliant. Nice. So good. Nice. And even when it came up to be doing Bring the Noise and stuff, like, as in, it was just like it was great. They just managed to do all the best Tony Hawk tracks that you can possibly want and desire from. I think it was 1, 2, and 3, I would say. So, you know, they really played up to the Leeds crowd and stuff, and they were like, if you don't clap, you're a fucking Man United fan and stuff like that. Like, yeah! I've drank enough for that to be a thing. So, but yeah, that was really good. So, gaming related, it just shocks me that, it doesn't shock me per se, but certainly surprised me pleasantly that soundtrack's had such an effect that 5 people have created a career almost out of it, which is, you know, I assume they have day jobs and
legal clearance.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing is, I think that they did. You know, you could tell by the branding and stuff. It was very impressive. So, I'd be surprised. I think it would specifically be something Tony Hawk would be very pro.
Oh yeah,
you know, pro
you'd
about
like
it.
to think so.
Yeah, you know, I'm surprised there weren't people in there with skateboards, like banging the boards, like dun, 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 dun. There was at some point, there was like, I mean, the Key Club in Leeds, I mean, God, it must be like a few hundred people maximum, and it was absolutely rammed, and there was like a 14-year-old kid getting crowd surfed and stuff, like, it was really cool. So yeah, it was just really welcoming and fun. So. That was my sort of weekend. Nice. And then my AS decided to kick my ass the rest of the weekend, feeling really ill, probably because I had too much of a good time on Friday night, you know, like staying up late till 11 p.m. Like a naughty boy. So, you know, but yeah, cool. That was my gaming related shenanigans at the weekend.
Good shenanigans.
Yeah. So, what are we up to today? We are doing a free play podcast now, are we?
Are we?
Yeah.
Because I can't remember what order we're doing these things in anymore.
Oh, so. Yeah, well, we probably should. We didn't really speak to before the pod tonight, did we? I'm pretty tired. I think you seem pretty tired as well.
Yeah,
so
this is going to be fine.
No, it'll be okay. Once we get going, it'll be absolutely fine. So we'll just eat enough maple bacon pretzel snacks just to, like, you know, drive.
I got my tea. It's all right.
I got my sleepy time tea.
I've got sleepy time tea.
Speaking of which, also sleepy time tea. The reason I bring that up as well is that I started watching Scott Pilgrim at the weekend, and I've watched the first 4 episodes of that, and that's a bit of a strange experience in so much that I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, so I won't. But it is a strange experience. But I am a massive Scott Pilgrim versus the World fan of both comic book and film or movie, and and I think it pays really good homage, as well you would expect for it being from O'Malley wrote it, and Edgar Wright executives produces it, and all the actors that were in the film are voicing again. So
apart from Chris Evans, did I see something?
No, he's in.
Is he in it?
He is in it. Yeah, yeah. They're all in it. Like Brandon Routh's back, I mean, it's like, you know, like he was popular because he was Superman at the time, but then But now he's like a nobody. Is he in Supernatural? Maybe I don't know. He's in something or other. But yeah, and it's just like and you can the fact you have Captain America and Captain Marvel in this film, and Superman,
got Avengers in
like,
it, which
it's just like,
genuinely is a surprise.
It's ridiculous. So it's so much fun. So just to kind of have those voices back as well is pretty cool. And yeah, they do some weird twisty stuff with it, which is fun. So definitely get through the first episode, because the first episode is quite rote, but then it kind of spins on a knife edge, which is really cool. So again, a recommendation from me.
Nice.
So free play. I think I'll go first because I haven't done it for a while. I think I usually go second because I'm usually spinning wildly.
I'm usually too eager.
No, it's not you. I'm usually like, I will defer because I'm worried about myself for the next 25 minutes, concerned about my own well-being. So, but I'm feeling confident about what I want to say tonight.
Oh, good.
I've got notes. I will refer to the notes, but because I always need to refer to my notes. But I'm feeling good about what I want to say about this game.
Okay.
So I would like to talk for a little while, though.
Right.
Objection!
Okay, good.
Excellent.
Well done.
That was
well taken.
That is...
Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I expected more than one word. I won't lie.
Okay, well, you didn't really give
Objection!
me more than one word.
Okay, good.
Right,
okay.
Right. I should have worn a snazzier costume if we're doing this. I've played the games. I know how this works. I know where this is going.
Yay! So, I played Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Just the first game, I want to be honest. So, the trilogy is available on Game Pass at the moment. It's also available on PS Plus, I believe. And you can buy it, I think it's on offer at the moment in the Black Friday sale on the Switch for £10 as well. So I played it on Game Pass, and so I just played the first game because I didn't realise how long that game would take me. Like,
it's a lot of reading.
I did look up on how long to beat, how long this would take, and it was like, the Ace Attorney trilogy will take you like 47 hours or something ridiculous.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was like, it's wild for what is effectively a point and click adventure almost in a way.
Visual novel.
Slash
clues in the word novel, I guess.
Yeah, it is pretty much. Yeah, so I'm glad that you've played the game. I assumed that you would have done. Because then you can, you might get a better feel for what you think the score might be towards the end, and also you can chip in and see, because you might have the same sort of feels that I do about this game. So
I won't lie, Fiona, my wife, will be very disappointed she's not here. She's played loads more of them than I have. She has artwork. She has Phoenix Wright artwork on the wall. We have Phoenix Wright coasters.
Sexy Phoenix Wright artwork?
No. Regular Phoenix Wright artwork. What's wrong with you?
I just did that thing where, in all Japanese anime, where, including this as well, where a character, when they're shocked, they fall and go, ah!
Oh, yeah.
That is in, with the sweat mark and stuff. That just seems to pop up quite often in this game. And I was just thinking, Pokemon and stuff and everything. Why is that? What kind of fucking thing is that? It's weird.
Don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, no sexy Phoenix Wright stuff I can look at. That's fine.
I can find you some if you like.
So these games were released in Japan, 2001 to 2004, and they came over to the Western world 2005. The trilogy is from, is it 2013, 2014, I think I read, or something. So in terms of coming together as an entity on later consoles. So this was the trilogy, but I just played the first game just because that's all I had time for.
Yeah.
I haven't really necessarily been completing all the games I've been playing on the podcast, which I think is probably obvious and fair, just, because there's a lot of them.
Lives.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a weekly podcast, it's difficult to get all the way through them all the time. But I completed this game. It took me 15 hours. And again, like I said, for a novel visualization / pointy clicky sort of game, it felt like quite a long time to invest in it. What before I speak, what do you think of the Phoenix Wright or the Ace Attorney certainly series?
I think they peaked with the Phoenix Wright stuff originally. Some of the later Apollo Justice stuff has lost me a little bit. But then you get into the realms of where they start to do like fun historical stuff or like crossovers with Professor Layton and all that kind of stuff. I think I've only played possibly even only the first game as well.
All right, okay.
Whereas my wife's played at least the entire trilogy and various other spin-offs. She has a mild obsession with what's Phoenix's like other Edgar his rival Edgar Miles.
Yeah. Milesworth, isn't it? Is it
Miles Edgeworth.
Miles Edgeworth. Edgar Miles.
Edgar Miles. It's because you said Edgar Wright. And
Miles
as
Prower.
mentioned, we're quite tired.
Oh God!
And I have no notes for this.
I didn't remember
no,
it.
I read them anyway.
I just played it. I don't remember it. I was quite happy to go along with Edgar Miles.
My wife is going to be so annoyed with me.
Oh, I love it.
But,
Brilliant.
So I think they're a great idea. I think they have possibly got a little bit in danger of being a bit repetitive, but then whenever they've done that, they've trotted out a more insane mechanic and or character, which kind of adds to the charm in a weird way.
Yeah.
I think you definitely got to give a really, really loud shout out to the translation and localization. There's a lot of really, really good jokes that have translated well. And again, like my wife went down this rabbit hole of learning about like the wordplay in the Japanese versions and how that does or doesn't come across in the Western ones by comparison. And
maybe I should have asked Fiona onto this pod.
Yeah, she would have had a lovely time.
I feel really bad about it.
It's fine. But yeah, like there's a lot of really interesting stuff, and especially because like the way the game is put together, it's always kind of been a bit coy about whether or not, at least in the Western version, if it's set in America or Japan, and they've had this kind of weird like tug of war culturally between those places for some of the jokes and references. But I think it does well to handle all of that.
Do you see what I've done here? I've invited you to review the
Yeah,
game.
now you're picking it apart and presumably going to expose all of my lies.
No, I don't think so. I think that's really...
You don't know the name of Phoenix Wright's rival at all. Take that.
Take that. I think it's pretty fair. I think you made a great point about the wordplay, and the animation is very good. I think I read somewhere that some people felt that it maybe lost a little bit of the playfulness by being, I guess, updated for the Phoenix Wright trilogy, which is what I played. So I wouldn't know, but it looked beautiful to me. It was very clear, crisp. Everything was easy to read. I don't think there was any problem with it personally, but again, it would have been nice to hear somebody that's played the originals or thoughts and feelings on that.
Really
but
handy.
Anyway, we're not here to be perfect. So, I guess going into the gameplay a little bit. So, people that haven't played the game, it's an investigation / courtroom drama. The investigation part of things is you move between areas that are presented to you to investigate and get clues for what you present in the courtroom. The courtroom part, you are always on the defense attorney side of things, facing against they always remind you this, a seemingly unbeatable prosecution. Funnily enough, to complete the game, you always beat the prosecution, which is just like, okay, that's fine. On top of this, being a regular defense attorney, you can also speak to a dead mentor who is being channeled through her sister, who is now your law associate.
Like underling.
Yeah. Which is really weird. Also, Phoenix Wright, the main character, and Miles Edgeworth, the main prosecution character.
We decided that's definitely his name.
That is his name,
right?
It definitely is. Yeah. Both 24 years old.
Yeah.
How ace are you as an attorney to be 24 years old?
Pretty ace.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Maya, who is your, like I said, law associate underling, who kind of just hangs around you like, as your partner, the law firm partner, but is 17 years old. It's a bit weird. And then her sister, is it Mia? I think it is, that basically she's the older version who's obviously taught Phoenix to be an ace attorney. She just kind of like turns up, but then it's really like they discern between them looking pretty much like twins, except one has her boobs out, like pretty much like
that's
like
right.
it's like so weird. It's like okay, fair enough, but then also Japanese animation, that's just kind of like.
Isn't there some weird thing when she's starting to channel her sister and then like her boobs get bigger or something ridiculous like that a couple of times?
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't imagine that.
It would have been fine if you had.
Would it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think it would have been in keeping with playing the game. So, what else is going on? Yeah. And then the courtroom part of it is essentially a really fun mini game where you cross-examine a witness. The witness is usually brought by the prosecution, and then and then usually becomes the murderer. That is in of many of the cases, or involved or implicated in it. I don't think I'm spoiling anything necessarily there because that isn't always the case. But pun. But it's just it is a bit contrite. I would say in a way.
It can feel a little bit by the numbers sometimes. Yeah,
I would say that this game feels a bit too linear and a bit too easy, and it does lean into that novelization kind of sometimes, I think, where it's almost like I liken this to, people will say, all the events in Indiana Jones the Raiders of the Lost Ark would happen if Indy wasn't there. Now, I would think this game is exactly the same. Phoenix Wright doesn't necessarily have to be there. Every time that you kind of do something, it's almost like you don't really have any other option to do anything else. So to complete the game, you can fail during the courtroom scenes. You can, if you are cross-examining a witness, then you can present evidence in the wrong place, which is fine. But there's two things wrong with that. One of them is that you present evidence usually because you think actually that makes sense to present that evidence there. So someone might say, "Oh, I was gazing at the stars and then." And then I saw a murder, for example, and it's like, right, okay, so then I'll pick up some evidence and it'll say, oh, but actually the camera was pointing at the lake or whatever and stuff, and then it'll be like, oh, that's not the right type of evidence here, and I'm like, but it is though. That is in just because it's not the one.
It's still admissible.
Just because it's not the one that you want for me to complete the game, then I don't understand. They definitely could have done a way better job of putting more branches into that evidence and making it easier. I don't know if later games do that, but considering just this game by itself, that was disappointing that there wasn't more ways that actually you could use the evidence in the courtroom to be able to say, actually, at this point, I would say this.
I know, certainly my wife, when she was playing through various ones, had that problem multiple times.
Yeah.
And I think what the later games did, it still popped up, but they were slightly better at funneling you more explicitly towards the thing. So I guess, while it might point you at the evidence it's expecting, I don't think it necessarily made it easier, if that makes sense. There was still the odd red herring.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
But even in this, though, there wasn't necessarily... It didn't feel like they were trying to do the red herring sort of thing.
Exactly.
It didn't feel like they were trying to make you go, haha, this is wrong.
It's almost like they dressed it up differently slightly later on.
It just gave you evidence that you felt you could use all the time, and then you couldn't. And it was like, well, I don't know, it felt a bit weird. But then, also, during the cross-examination sections, the witness will say 3 or 4, maybe 5 statements, and you can then go, right, okay, I'll listen to all of it, and then it'll get to the end of it and go, did you miss something, Phoenix? And it's like, well, clearly, because you're telling me I've missed something. I'll just go back, shall I? Thank you very much.
Phoenix, why don't you look for the lie?
Yeah. It's just it won't let you fail easily, which just takes away the complete excitement of the game in those tense courtroom sections. So, okay, complete excitement. Take that back. It is excitement and tense for a little while, but once you kind of start doing it a few times over, it's like, what is bringing me back to this game at the moment? Because I have to openly admit that I completed the game, and I don't know why. I stuck around to see this game through, because it's not the best game I've ever played, as you can probably tell from my tone. But at the same time, I think I was enjoying myself. Like, as in, like, so, like, I was enjoying the animation. We spoke about the wordplay being very quite clever. Phoenix is actually in a lot of games that you kind of have this type. You can get attorneys or police lawmen who are a bit like gruff or a bit of a dick. He's quite sweet almost in a way, and like naive, naive and actually quite quite relatable. Like he's actually an okay person to hang around with, and his little asides in his own head, like when he sort of like mocks people or something like that, they're never like horrible or vindictive. He's just like, well, duh, like as in and you're like, oh, you just think, oh, actually, yeah, that's quite funny. So it's like the characters are very good. The story is suspect, but at the same time, I wanted to know what happened at the end of this story. Like, as in,
I think that's fair.
Certainly, for this one game, I wanted to know. They built it up quite well into the final sort of trial, but I expected there just to be a bit more. Well, this is the final trial. This is the super hard one. This is the one we're going to make really difficult, and you've got to really sort of unravel what's going on. But it's just wrote and the exact same it is as effectively the first one, which is your training trial, really. It's just there's more evidence. And you spend a load of time in the investigation part of it, which is so boring. Oh, the text rolls, even if you put it on fast text, it rolls in really slowly, and you bounce around from what I'd call effectively an area or a room, or like a detention centre where one of the witnesses is, or the person who's been prosecuted, to go to the police station. And it's like, right, okay, and then it'll be like, oh, there's no one there. You're right. Well, so you're making part of the mechanic of the game for me to have to find where the next part of the game progresses, and I'm like, that's not really like gameplay. That's just you wasting my time. Like, physically, like, as in, me and Phoenix and Maya, you are wasting our fucking time. Like, as in, like, and it's like, you've got to do that. But then also, like, little small things, like, you can't directly go from one place to... You just need a tiny little world map where you can go, oh, I can go from the police station to the lake, and I can go to the part on the lake I want to go to the beach on the lake. No, you've got to go from the police station to the detention centre, to the law room, to the lake entrance, to the garden on, beside the lake, to the beach on the lake, and then slide across a page to then get to the person you want to get to. And I'm like, stop wasting my fucking time! Like, isn't like, why are you doing this to me? Like, especially when the most important part, or the part that I enjoy the most, is the courtroom, and actually, it feels like you're just kind of like making me wait around for those little bits. It's not. It
seems like it's the police's job as well. I'm not sure it's a lawyer's role.
I know. Yeah.
I don't know much about being a defence lawyer, but I would assume you're not poking around crime scenes too much.
But like it does make fun of that a little bit, in so much as like the police will be like, oh, you got another got another piece of evidence out of me, pretty much, and it's just sort of like
you.
Yeah. Just like, oh, we're so lax. Oh no, Detective Gumshoe, you idiot! Like, as in, it just like, I mean,
Due Process, never heard of him.
Speaking of characters, there's like one early character, what's she called, April May, and she's a bit of a sort of like, I want to say kind of slutty, sort of like bitchy kind of character. And like there's that line that I just stuck in my head. It was like, well, guess what? I hate your guts, so I'm not helping you. And it's just sort of like, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, as in, kudos. The music is really good in the game as well. Like, as in, so like, even though it's the same 3 songs pretty much, that is in, it's used really well. Like the tense courtroom music that is used is like, in my head, it's living there rent free now. It's just like, it's just awesome. Really enjoyed that. So it's just such a strange game where I just felt like I had to keep coming back to it, and I had to complete it. I just don't understand why I had to do that, because it wasn't very good. Like, overall as a package, there are nice bits in there, but I don't understand how I justified it to myself as a video game player to actually spend the amount of time I did on it.
I can hazard a guess.
I'm asking you why.
I'll hazard a guess.
While I eat a pretzel.
So, when my wife was playing through various ones, and I think she's got maybe about 6 of them under her belt now, in total, like including spin-offs and all that kind of stuff.
She's a fucking ace attorney.
Well, she's, as best as I can tell, not playing them for the mechanics. And occasionally, there will be things pop up like, oh, you've got to spray this special spray to see some blood that you can't otherwise see, and all that kind of stuff. And it feels like a bit like it's been crowbarred in for, say, back in the day, it would have been the DS screen and all that kind of stuff. And it feels a bit ham-fisted and all that kind of stuff. So it's not the mechanics, like you say, but as the games and as time goes on with the characters, those stories continue and they get intertwined, and characters will return and all that kind of stuff. And it is that kind of almost not quite soap opera, but getting there kind of level really of good. Like the character interactions and the characters themselves, and the general insanity of some of the things that can happen and will happen. And couple that with some legitimately fun writing. I think it's the. In fact, there was another episode where we were talking about like the trappings of a game, right, and how much that matters. I think this is a really, really good example of how far good trappings can pull you.
Yeah.
I mean, you've spoken about the music and all that as well, and all that counts for something because mechanically, like especially the first game, because of how old it is, and the systems it was originally built for. Didn't a version of this come out on the Game Boy Advance or something like that? Where basically what you can do is press A.
Yeah, I think that was annoying. Oh god, how many times that? Oh, I had to press that button so many times to move the text on.
So it's not even like you could just watch it go by.
No, I was like, you bastard! Like, And then I know there's a Netflix series now and stuff. It's on Netflix, and I'm guessing I probably would have enjoyed just watching the TV show a little bit more than actually playing the game.
Quite possibly.
Because actually, I think all the good bits would have been in that, really. So,
but I think that's basically why, at least my wife got into it, was that kind of anime thing.
Yeah. Do you want another sick, twisted thing?
You've already started the next game.
I haven't, but I feel like I want to. Like, I don't understand.
I'd go for it. Like,
no, I haven't got the time to. I can't. Like, it's making my stomach turn thinking about it. But I don't know. It feels like a weird addiction. Like, as in, I think there must be some sort of weird brainwave bullshit coming out of the DS or something like that. So but it's a good point that I think that this. I don't think I would have played as much of it if I couldn't have played it on Game Pass on my phone with my Razer Kishi like a DS. Do you know what I mean? If it just been on a console, sat at a television, I don't think I would have done it all. Like, as in, it really helped that it was handheld, and you could tell this was made for a handheld console.
Yeah, so read it like a book kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could just tap away and be watching TV and talking to somebody or whatever. Like, so that made it passable. So yeah, it definitely feels like a great middle ground sort of game. I think they're the wrong words to use. It feels like a middle ground sort of game for me personally. And the reason I'm making that point is because I want to come back to that after you've done your free play review, because I want to talk about that point and something around that point. But yeah, where on after what I've said, I think I'm not going to give you I will give you my score, but obviously that's not the one for the records. It's the one that you give it is the one for the records. But I think you'll be surprised at what I would give it, maybe.
I think I would probably rate it higher than you.
Okay.
Potentially. But I would probably, if left to my own devices, I probably would have given it about a 7, personally.
That makes me angry.
Yeah, I thought it might. But this is the thing, because I think if you're going to go in playing a visual novel, having played a few, right, you are there for the characters and the story.
Yeah.
You're not there for the mechanics at all.
I'm there to play a video game, though.
Yeah, but not if you're playing a visual novel. That's the thing.
But it's also a video game.
You're there for something like, Virtue's Last Reward, where it starts to play with timelines, or you're there for Hatterful Boyfriend with a fucking insane plot twist, upon plot twist upon plot twist. you are not necessarily there for quote unquote mechanics. And so I think viewed through that lens, I think Phoenix Wright absolutely is a success. Obviously, there's room for improvement with it, and I think they started to do that. But it is not going to be the sort of thing that you get your mates around, you crack open some beverages and like, yeah, let's crack on with Phoenix Wright, baby.
Although, to be honest,
time.
That might be more fun. Like, it might be more fun.
And I'll tell you why,
2 bottles of wine, getting shit-faced with your friends.
But it's because of the characters and the writing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
You'll be sitting there, you'll be taking the piss out of the suspects and stuff like that, and laughing when they go ballistic or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And I think in that respect, it is a success.
Livid, I am.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do about it?
But you know what?
These are your rules.
But exactly, yeah. But it's really funny because I'd still give it a 6. Like, so I'm only
you can't be that annoyed.
No, but I am. The difference between a 7 and a 6 to me in my head, I didn't realise until you said the 7. Like, I was leaning more towards like a 5, that is in, but I was like, but I'll give it a 6 for the things that you're talking about. 7. Oh, that's rich. That is rich in actuality and physicality, and you bastard. Right, anyway, that's fine.
No, I mean, it feels like if you were thinking 5 and I said 7, let's call it a 6.
No. We are absolutely.
I haven't written anything down.
We are not undoing the rules of this podcast. That is, it's the only thing we have.
You realise no one else cares about the rules, right?
I know. And that's what makes it more important. Like I said, you know. The only thing that matters is what happens at this table.
Oh, God. Right, fine. I'll put it as a 7. Jesus. I'm doing the spreadsheet now.
It would make me even more upset if you changed it. My hissy fit would be null and void, I think. I'm not even
doing
sure.
that thing that a Phoenix Wright suspect does when you're starting to
pretty
get found
much.
out.
This is what's happening
your beard's
right now.
flying off to the other side of the room and like, he's fallen over.
Oh, yeah, give it an 8.
Steam coming out of his eyes.
Give it an 8. Give it an 8 now. I'm like, you reminded me of good times.
Oh my giddy aunt.
I know.
Right, hang on,
I'm glad that this brought up some real feelings for us.
Yeah, well, it was about time, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it shouldn't have been over Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Usually I'm a husk when I'm doing it.
I've got no feelings.
Phoenix Wright. 7. It's in there as a 7.
Oh,
right, it's official.
This made me feel ill. Right, okay, good. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, well.
You're getting better.
It's only going to get worse.
Oh, fuck.
So I know I've touched on it before, but we're doing it properly now. We're doing the fucking Game Gear Micro.
Oh, right, okay.
We are doing this officially and properly.
Oh, this is good. Cool.
Because I don't think we did it justice when I kind of ambushed you with it before.
No, I completely agree. And actually, I'm quite happy about this.
Good. I actually bought some notes because this time, I guess kind of in keeping, rather, with the Phoenix Wright thing. Going to look at the games very, very quickly. And then basically, I'm going to try and justify why I bought it. Point by point, I'm going to try and explain my reasoning for buying it.
Are you expecting me
to score my reasoning? Yes.
Okay. I mean, you know, like, before you start, I'm still looking at what is a brilliant little piece of kit.
That is the size of approximately 2 maple bacon pretzels.
Exactly. I just don't understand.
Height and width, by the look of it.
It's so weird. Like it's got the surface area of 2 pretzels, like 2 mini pretzels, not like a big pretzel. Just carry on. Whatever. Go.
Right.
Just go.
Okay. So, there are 5 of these things, right? Different colours. Each one has 4 games on.
Okay.
The white one might have 5. I didn't check that. I should check that.
That's a gimmick. I'm okay with that.
It is a gimmick, yes. As is the size.
Yeah.
As mentioned, it's fucking small. Now, the games that are on this one, I have the blue one. The reason I'm going to mention these, we'll come back to in a minute. But on it is Sonic Chaos, which I think is Sonic and Knuckles, but the Japanese version. Mm-hmm. The kind of 8-bit version of Gunstar Heroes, which, considering what it's like on the Mega Drive, is to have it as an 8-bit thing that could run on a Master System or a Game Gear is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sylvan Tale, which is kind of like Zelda, sort of top-down hack and slashy.
Sounds like Sylvanian families, little fucking fuzzy things in a little house that you care for.
Not quite. It involves sword and hitting things.
Okay, fair enough.
And Baku Baku Animal, which I have previously mentioned having a version of on the Sega Saturn.
Yes, you have, yeah.
So Sonic Chaos is basically your standard issue Sonic platform game.
Mm-hmm.
Gunstar Heroes is Gunstar Heroes. You run around and shoot stuff. And it's still pretty insane. Like, it is genuinely impressive what they managed to cram into that game, considering. Sylvan Tale I've not spent much time with. Of the various games here, that's the one that kind of has the biggest language barrier, because it's in Japanese.
Oh. On the tiniest screen ever.
On the tiniest screen ever, but very legible. It's a very good screen.
It is
Considering the size, it's a very good screen. And Baku Baku Animal works really, really, really well on this console. It's kind of like Tetris or Columns, where you're slotting pieces together on like a grid. But you're effectively trying to match up animals with foodstuffs. Mm-hmm. That's it. And you've got maybe 4 or 5 different types of animals. And you're trying to keep your board clear and all that kind of stuff. So, like, none of it's particularly earth-shattering in itself.
I imagine that works really well on there.
It does, yeah.
That feels like the right-sized game to fit on that.
No, you're not wrong.
Screen.
And Sonic and Knuckles, or Sonic Chaos, works quite well on it as well. But it does get to the stage where you've got a few like leaps of faith and stuff like that. And there's kind of some design bits later on that aren't so great with it. Gunstar Heroes works better than I thought it would, but at the same time, because of the size of the thing, Gunstar Heroes was where I had the most problems with thinking I can jump, but I'm not jumping. Why is that? Oh shit, I'm holding down the jump button while I'm still shooting.
Yeah.
And because the thing's so small and I didn't notice. So it's things like that. Obviously, given the size of it, they're all emulated. I think it's M2 that did the emulation, so it's solid. As best as I can tell, I don't have a Game Gear. So yeah, like it's technically quite impressive. So the kind of thinking for getting it was shortly after I borrowed your, remind me what it's called, Ambernick, like emulation handheld thing. The reason I borrowed it was because I knew it was preloaded with however many games from however many systems. So I thought, okay, right, there's a decent chance that the games that I would like to play on a Game Gear are on there, therefore potentially saving me money buying a Game Gear and the games. So I borrowed it, fired it up. None of the games were on it that I wanted to play.
Nope.
So you'd need to go and hunt them down and load them on. Incidentally, 2 of them are now on that console. You may not have noticed, but there they are.
I didn't know you were sideloading shit onto my console.
Oh, yeah.
Is there enough room? Is there enough room on it?
Well, yeah, they're tiny, tiny games.
Okay.
But the point is that
feel free to sideload whatever you like.
But the point is that it wasn't just a simple case of, they're there, easy peasy, pick it up and all that kind of stuff.
Can't believe you touch my stuff.
Yeah, well.
I lend you a console and it's now been abused.
So it was like, well, okay, for what I actually want to play, how is this going to work? Like, would I get, if I go and buy a Game Gear, right, that's, what, 70 quid secondhand?
I think that even more now. It's like 100 nearly.
Well, that's because they keep failing. So, like, they have dodgy capacitors, so you have to go and repair it. So, okay, it's either, call it 100 quid for one that somebody's already done, even more if you're getting one with a half-decent backlit screen and that's been modded and all that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. So that's basically the price of one of these mini consoles. If you are in CEX, they tend not to do import stuff, but they do have, or did have recently, the black Game Gear Micro for 80 or £85.
Okay.
So that is not unusual. For a second-hand Game Gear Micro, they can easily be about £80, £90. This one I found for 65. It had most of the games on. There's still one that I was hoping to play that isn't on it. It's on another one. But
that spells trouble.
Well, it does spell trouble because I spotted I could get that for 50 quid, but import charges and stuff like that on top. So by the time it's here, it comes out as lo and behold, it's that price again. But the point is that most of the games I wanted to play are on this mini console, right? For less money than most of the other ones. Mm-hmm. Considering the language barrier on some of the other consoles, like that, you will almost get to the stage where 3 of the games are playable as a person who doesn't speak Japanese, and then one of them is basically just completely out. Yeah. There's at least one version of this mini console where I think all, if not 3 of the 4, are basically indecipherable RPGs and stuff like that. So basically, the blue one is in demand because it's got the highest proportion of games that you can play as someone who doesn't speak Japanese, right?
I'm getting that overwhelming feeling of Phoenix Wright again, where I'm really angry, but I really want one, and I really want to be.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, because what will really annoy you is that when these came out a couple of years ago in Japan, they were about 30 or 40 quid a pop.
Oh, really?
In Japan, yeah, which makes them that much more of an impulse purchase, and seen through that lens, like, totally makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's just the import market price is just massively inflating them. And then I did some more digging, and I thought, okay, well, if I get an actual Game Gear Micro, an actual Game Gear rather, how much would it be for the games that I'm after? Gunstar Heroes on its own easily reaches 200 quid.
Yeah, okay.
Easily.
Just like,
right?
Just for the record for the listeners, my jaw dropped.
Yeah, like
physically.
I was looking at eBay. I think you could probably get it down to about 100 quid for cart only.
Right, okay.
Which is insane. Like, considering it's not even like the quote-unquote proper version of the game.
How do you feel about paying so much for a cart or a disc-only sort of situation? I'm going to get into this conversation at some point, probably with you, but I discovered this weekend that I see myself more as a gamer than a collector, and I just don't mind having discs. But then, whenever I try to buy a disc, like, as in, I'm like, I just want the game. Like, as in, it's like, I couldn't, I might find a version where I'm like, I have to pay another 20 quid just to get the case, and I'm like, I just kind of want to play the game a little bit. Like, as in, it just...
I think for me, when it comes to discs, I want the box as well, because discs
just because,
cartridge only. I'm okay with that. Getting cartridge only, and I have paid 100 quid for a cartridge only game, by the way. Once.
Yes, yeah. You've mentioned that before, yeah.
But I wasn't willing to do it again. And my wife pointed out, like, if you get a Game Gear, like, where does it end? Because you're going to want to buy other things as well, rather than just getting something that's kind of...
Yes, I will, and I'll do it.
That kind of, like, enclosed ecosystem where it's like, okay, well, 3 of the 4 games that I wanted to play are on the same micro console, let's just get that and be done with it. So I was like, okay, well, it kind of financially makes sense. And I thought, you know what, yeah, let's do it. And it's cute. The screen's nice, it sounds all right, a little bit distorted when you start turning up the volume, and it is kind of easy to press multiple buttons at once. It's very easy, like, it's got save states and stuff, but you've got to hold down start for it. So it's very easy for that menu to not come up because you also happen to be pressing one of the buttons at the same time, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, like, I am pleasantly surprised by it. I have spent more time playing it than I thought I would.
Okay.
I know plenty of people scoff at them and think, well, if you're going to get that, it's just going to sit on a shelf somewhere. It's a handheld pocket console. You know, the last time I bought a fucking handheld console that could actually fit in a pocket? Like, that counts for something, that shit. How good's that? You can be in a waiting room at the doctor's or whatever and just fucking bash that out.
That's what was good about the DS, though, wasn't it? That just folded away nicely into your pocket and stuff.
Yeah. So, like, I have that on my bedside table. Like, and if I've got a spare couple of minutes before bed, I'll be on that for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, not long at all. But it's just I have already worked it into like a kind of daily routine in a way that I just wasn't expecting. So yeah, it's.
I would expect it of you.
Well, yeah, that's because I'm pretty pathetic.
No, that was a positive. That was meant to be a positive comment. Oh.
But yeah, like, so it's one of those weird ones where, like, it is a ludicrous piece of kit. Like, in a perfect world, they would have made it, I don't know, double the size at least. More like the kind of Game Boy Advance micro version that they did.
Yeah.
which, you know, is another favourite one of mine because it's actually portable.
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, like, it's... I would love them to almost go back and do it properly, which sounds ridiculous, but it is a ridiculous piece of kit.
It looks like, you know, you'd get something in a cereal box.
Yeah.
You know, you just or you collect 5 or 6 cereal boxes and you could send some away for something.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like that, but the build quality is decent.
It's really good.
And
put my maple bacon pretzel handle over it. Sorry, probably jam it up.
But I mean, dare I say, it works better than I thought it would.
Is it rechargeable? Sorry,
it's not.
Batteries,
but I've got rechargeable AAAs in there. It runs on 2 AAAs.
Yeah,
which incidentally is a little bit easier to manage than the 6 AA's the original Game Gear took.
Yeah.
That said, you are right. It's got a USB socket on it. They are hackable.
Okay.
So there are people that have released like custom firmware to put more Game Gear games on here, should you be that way inclined. I daren't try it yet, but I do wonder if it's the sort of thing that one day I will just give it a crack and see what happens. But it's not the same as the PlayStation TV, where it's very easy to buy games that you can't use on it without any kind of warning, because it's a kind of closed ecosystem, if you like. So yeah, but the option nonetheless is there.
Yep, it's there on the table, pretty tiny. Okay, and you want me to do what now? Score your you want me to tell you how well you've justified yourself?
Yeah, go on.
You don't want me to score.
You can score the console if you like. But I know I've not really talked about playing on it.
Yeah, no, you did at the start. It was, and that was serviceable. You know,
Go on, score the review.
There's 4 games, and you know, like, and you told me which ones were good and which ones were in Japanese, and you couldn't tell what's going on. Look, I think that it's very important what I say right now, because I feel like it's going to carry a little bit of weight with you. I think that you've made a good decision on the whole to buy this because you're you. So, and you will enjoy it, and you'll use it correctly. You will research everything you need to research. You will find out you care about this console and the piece of kit and the software on there. So that's a good thing. So therefore, absolutely fine. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's just mental. And I understand it as much as I possibly can, and I still don't quite get what's going on here.
No, I think that's completely fair. Because
no. I just wanted to finish off with an arbitrary score, and then you can talk about it once more if you like to. And I feel like I would do you a disservice if I give it any less than a 7 out of 10. I think that you maybe would like it a little bit higher, but I think that if there was 10 games on there for the price that you paid for it, £65, and there were 3 of these things kicking about, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more value for money in that than it being 4, and then there's 5 of them, and there's 20 games available. That's just like, feels like a collectible paradise, but also in an impractical way.
Yes,
yeah.
I think that's exactly it. I think that's hit the nail on the head.
Sega's trying to screw you over a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And for what it's worth, yeah, I would have given it a 7 out of 10 as well.
Okay.
But both my reasoning and the console, I guess.
No, your reason's probably worth a little bit more, but
but like it's I think it's exactly there where it kind of works better than you think, but the whole thing is fundamentally not as good as it could or should have been. And yeah, I think you're right. If you'd had even 10 games on it or something like that, and it was just a couple of centimeters bigger each way, different story.
I mean, you know, that's what she said. Anyway, sorry, I can't ever not drop that. Yeah, no, it's fine. So, okay, I wanted to go back then a little bit to, I guess the score that I would have liked you to have given Phoenix Wright. So just for the record, you gave it 7. Yep. That's fine. I would have been hovering around 5.5, 6. So anyway, so this game, bang average to me, right? But I played it to completion. I was playing another game for free play that I won't probably go back to, but objectively, I think it's a better game. Mm-hmm. So I think that I would probably end up getting, probably this game would be like 8 out of 10 or something. So it's South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Oh yeah.
So I played about 2.5 hours of this, and very good. Made me laugh a lot, like the concept of it. So it is an RPG where you enter South Park as a new kid, and it's a war between humans and elves over a stick, the Stick of Truth, an actual physical stick. Bit weird. Have you played the game? Sorry.
I haven't.
No. I absolutely love South Park. I'm going to just quickly at the end touch on something that reminded me about my South Park past. But yeah, and the idea of it, and Cartman is the grand wizard, and he kind of introduced you to the sort of concept of the game and things, and it's very funny, very South Park though. That isn't. I'm still surprised. I mean, I think it was like 2014, 2015. And I'm surprised the jokes were still flying then. Like, as in, it's almost like, there's a joke in it where, so you can pick who you want to be. It's like a thief, like a warrior, a mage, or a Jew. So like, it's so like ridiculous that that's okay. Like, if your skin color's white, which mine is, that is, and I picked a white character. Like, I picked a thief at the start, and it was like, oh, a white thief. I'd never heard of a white thief before. Like, and I was like, okay. And it was like, and then the next one was like, it was like, oh, and I was like, oh, I'll pick Jew, just see what happens. It was like, oh, Jew, you could probably handle our finances. And I'm like, it's just so like, I'm like, is that still going in 2014? Is it? Like, is in the, like, is in, and I guess it still is with South Park. South Park seems to be this weird spot in culture where it's like, yeah, you can just do what you fucking want, mate. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Matt Stone, Trey Parker, just do it, and you'll just never get cancelled. It's fine. And it's just so like, and everyone's like, ha ha ha, it's South Park, it's okay. Which is, I guess it's fine because everyone else says it's fine, but I don't know if it is. Like, as in, I don't know with South Park, but I'm not trying to, like, be an absolute, like, Karen about it or anything. Like, I'm not like trying to be Cartman's mum or anything, blame Canada or anything. It's just, like, it just seems a very odd sort of like corner niche that they have, that everything's okay and they can say whatever they want, and actually they never get like held accountable. There doesn't seem to get held accountable for it. Like, they're still multi-millionaires from it. But yeah, and it's a really well set up game, like RPG. The mechanics are really cool. It sounds incredible. That is in, all the musical cues, the sound effects. It is just like being in South Park, like, and it's so well made. I don't know why I just don't want to go back to it. I'm just not that bothered about finishing this game, like, or even like really starting it properly. Like, I played it for like one night. I played it for 2.5 hours, and it felt like I was like, this is a really good game. Like, as in, you love your South Park, and and they've done a really good job of making, like this RPG in a South Park world, and all the characters are getting fleshed out again, brilliant. And I was just like, I'm all right, though. I don't need to go back to it, and I don't understand why I went back to a shitter game to me. That is in quite happily to complete it over a game that I know is better than it, but I guess it just wasn't my thing. But then that makes it sound like Phoenix Wright was my thing, and he is, but the game isn't. Like, I don't get me. I have a
couple of theories for you, if I may.
Please do.
So, theory A.
We've got 5 minutes left before I want to stop recording this podcast, because then we have to put a break in.
Theory A. Phoenix Wright was something new and different.
Yeah,
and you are very familiar with South Park.
That's true.
For a very long time, you've been familiar with it. Theory B, which is probably the main reason I've not played it, right, is that back in the day I loved South Park. There is part of me that always will love South Park. I haven't watched it in quite a while, primarily because back in the day, I think it was 1999. They did the South Park movie.
Yeah.
More recently, as of when I was stopping watching it, they were starting to do longer and longer arcs, like full season arcs and stuff like that. So rather than like a kind of one-off episode, have your jokes be done, they were trying to work in longer plots, which I'm not going to begrudge them doing. It's just that South Park to me was always a sort of kind of snack of telly.
Yeah.
Like you'd go in, you have your 20 minutes, it was riotous fun, and then you were done.
Yeah.
Trying to get invested and be there for something longer, kind of turned me off it a little bit. And I think that is what I would get if I was sitting there for an RPG of X hours of it. I think it would be entirely like too much. It would be like having a really rich, massive dinner instead of like a really, really nice snack version of it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think it would be too much for me.
I don't think that I feel that. That's not something that came to mind as like, oh yeah, no, relate to that. So like, I don't think that's it.
Thanks for listening.
No, I'm joking. No, that's. I think it's a really fair point. That is, things do maybe become that larger morsel, more bloated as well. It's sort of like and maybe it doesn't become as attractive to you. So, I mean, but going back to South Park, then at the start, which is I watched it completely through the first 4 or 5 series and then the movie, and then I kind of grew out of it, and then I realised that people were still watching when I was at university.
Yeah.
Like, my friend Alan and my friend Dan were at university, they watched South Park, and I was like, oh, this is still going, right, okay. I dipped a little bit back in, and I was like, oh, okay, this is still like quite funny, but I'm not fussed. I didn't keep up to it really. And so, but one thing I did keep up to when I was younger was South Park plush toys. And one thing I want to talk to you about is how much richer I would be if I'd kept. I wouldn't be rich. I'd be richer if I'd kept. Not. I'm not talking like millionaire here, but like as in I would be significantly richer if I'd kept hold of my South Park plush toys that I sold at probably at cost when I was 21. So basically, I got them when I was about 10. I sold them at cost when I was like 21, which I thought was great at the time. Obviously, being like 21, I was like, oh, this is great. Like, as in I'm getting my money back for something when I was younger. If I'd kept hold of a couple more years, I could have got more money for them. So, just very quickly, I want you to try and guess the most expensive South Park plush toys that you can buy, or maybe their prices or something like that. So the 6 that I owned, and how much they are. So just randomly.
How long have I got?
No, you've got about 3 minutes here.
Do I actually?
No, you physically do have 3 minutes, but guess. I let you have 3 guesses, and then I'll just put you out of your fucking misery.
Okay, cool. Kenny most expensive?
No,
right.
No, it's not a main character. That is main character. Ignore all those guys.
Right. Okay. Mr. Hanky?
No, he was pretty cheap.
Really?
He's cheap shit. Cheap shit.
Oh, I don't know.
Just
Stan's dog.
You're not far off for an animal. So the 6 that I had. So the cow, the South Park cow, £60 that's worth now. Okay. £60. Coming at £70, Mr. Garrison.
Huh.
£75, a talking Timmy, which is, I'd really regret getting rid of a talking Timmy now. No, I want to show you. But not that matters. I'm like trying to shield this from Rich. Like he really gives a shit. He doesn't care. Next up, then joint second, Scuzzlebutt, £200. Scuzzlebutt was amazing. He was so well made because he had. Is it Brian Boitano's on his leg? I can't remember now. He's got and he's got celery on it as a hand. Yeah. Brilliant! It's such a good plush. Wendy, okay. She's £200. I don't know why this is the case.
Wow.
And then the most expensive is Pip, which was the short-lived English boy that kind of effectively got replaced with Tweak. He's £300. And I owned all those. So I probably paid. At the time, I reckon I probably had about £500 worth of South Park plush toys. I had a lot of them, and they all had the tags on as well. So I was quite savvy when I was younger.
You could have bought all of the Game Gear micros.
Yeah. And when I looked, I think the whole collection now would be about £2,500 or something. So but I mean, and I like I say, I probably sold them £500 when I was 21. So. I mean, I wouldn't have been a millionaire, but I could have had all those Game Gear micros, like you said. So,
wow.
But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up as a sort of gaming
bittersweet moment.
And our podcast is just one long bittersweet moment.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll leave it there for this week just because there's 14 seconds left on the timer, and we will speak to you all very soon.
Cheers.